What's up, Raiders? It's Adam from RaidersOfLostFlix.com. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Fatal J. Looks like Fatal's getting caught up in the hype that is Dune, and it is for a good reason. So let's get into it, shall we? It looks like the news is starting to catch on as more and more people and more websites are starting to get caught up. The Dune 2020, which is coming out in December. I do believe that people should get excited about this. I'm not going to read this entire article, but I do want to come down and point to a couple of set shots that got me at least pumped. This is one of those few science fiction type things that are coming out where the casting excites me, the announcement of the director excites me, the production stills excite me. There's literally on paper, this looks like the most perfect thing that could happen. Now, it is possible to get, a little too caught up in it, a little too excited, and then you have your expectations here, and then the next thing you know, the movie comes out and it's like, maybe here, or maybe it doesn't land at all. I hate being like that, but at the same time, it's nice to be excited about something. Like I said, not gonna read the entire article, but here we got some production shots. This picture right here, I can't really zoom in on it because all it does is take me to another website, and it's probably porn, but it looks like a thopter right there, and I really like the way that image looks. It's very cool, it's very slick, looks like something that hasn't been done yet. I would envision that this is probably an image from the Fremen stronghold, the holy place. I don't want to reveal too much. If you haven't read the book, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but if you've seen the original movie, you might know what I'm talking about, except narratively that original movie is a mess. I don't really like it. I like the way the costumes looked in it. I liked the special effects in it, but I find that movie incredibly painful to watch. There's like all of this, like, you see people talking but their lips don't move because it's trying to represent what they're thinking, and it's bad. It's really bad. I've seen several different versions of it. I've seen versions where they put a narrator in it to try to explain the story to you. It makes it worse. The best one to watch, honestly, is Frank Herbert's Dune from the Sci-Fi Channel, the miniseries. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. If you do a little search for it, you can find it. Not sure if I link that, if that would get me in trouble or not, but if you search, it's there. I'm just saying. It's pretty good, all right? The costumes and all that aren't quite as exciting, but the show actually is. Now, Fatal J mentioned that this is kind of like Game of Thrones, and I can't really comment on that because I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I'm not really a Game of Thrones guy, but I will acknowledge that the story is very much like a fantasy type show. So there's a little bit of space magic, there's royalty, there's royal families involved, there's construction, there's a spacing guild, so I can kind of see where he's coming from on that. That's pretty exciting. Other thing I wanted to mention is that sci-fi is in a really bad place right now, and the reason being is because most of these sci-fi movies are not getting made because the ones that are coming out are not very good, because they spend the money on the special effects, but then they don't have a good script, or then they want to write a really bad story that focuses too much on politics rather than focus on any kind of an entertaining story. You get a lot of guff sometimes because people think that, it is important to not just, you can't just disappear in escapism, and then somehow every movie has to be socially responsible to, because climate change or something like that. I disagree, all right? Got people like Greta Thunberg out there saying, how can we tackle climate change if the adults are obsessed over children's movies based on Legos? This was probably some kind of a joke, but it does beg to bring up the point that, you do need escapism, all right? At the end of the, it's like when I was a little kid, used to come home from school and maybe you had a bad day, and my parents would give me like a couple of hours to unwind, watch a little TV, maybe have a snack or something like that, because you were at school for a long day, and when you're a little kid, 6 hours isn't really a long time, so you have to unwind, you have to decompress, all right? Most people that have jobs, you come home, you need to unwind, decompress. Now, maybe some people do like to come home and, jump on Twitter and start arguing with people about Trump or whatever. Or whatever the latest, political thing is. But other people would like to get away from that once in a while, because it's important to turn off your mind from that stuff, because when you drown in a sea of negativity all the time, you're going to be a grouchy person. That's why they've got so many hypersensitive people online that you can't talk to, because they're so caught up in the arguments that they're just waiting to get pissed off, and they're waiting to look for the next thing to be pissed off about and argue about. And that's not where we want to be. feet. So, science fiction's in a bad place because you have the best example of you replace the story with the politics to the point to where you just don't care about the actual science fiction anymore. I'm not saying everything has to be like super geeky Star Trek Next Generation type explaining things how they work. I'm just saying that
what you want to do here is this. You want to attack its most vulnerable spot. Come at it from this angle and locate the automatic flip-flop override device here, which in turn will diffuse the anti-gyroscopic pre-interphase thrust chamber and the pneumatic centrifugal anti-gravity shield deflectors. Then you simply deactivate the axial gyro pre-sub-inertia photomegatronic oscillator that you see here. Huh? You pull the plug.
You can feel the cynicism in the writer's room in some of the best example I can think of is when I saw Terminator Dark Fate recently. There's a scene where Grace, played by Mackenzie Davis, is sitting with Sarah Connor in a car. They're heading towards the next plot point, and she takes a phone and she pulls the back of it off and she starts doing things with her fingers like she's absorbing the information or something. And Sarah Connor asks her, well, what are you doing? She just turns around and goes, future shit. Future shit. That's an example of just writers' rooms not giving a fuck about science fiction, hijacking the logo just so they can use that movie to preach some kind of message to you. That's when you clearly have put the agenda ahead of the story, and that's what I'm always complaining about on this channel. When you replace story with some kind of political agenda or, political pandering, or you're trying to get a message across rather than just give everybody an entertaining, fun thing to latch on to. And I think we have a lack of that. I've grown up in a time where I've had to watch Star Wars and Star Trek and Terminator and Doctor Who. All of these things just get murdered by bad storytelling. And it sucks. I really hate that this is going on right now. Do I think these things will be fixed? Eventually, yeah. But for right now, there's this big void where those things used to fill my life. They're gone now, and I would like something else to fill it. Most nerds are starting to catch on. I shouldn't say nerds, but it is. We're all geeks. We're all nerds. We're starting to catch on to Dune, and we kind of are hoping that this will fill that void where nothing else exists. Because this guy is Denis Villeneuve is a very talented director. I just got done watching Blade Runner, both Blade Runner movies last night, back to back. On my 4K TV, beautiful. And I was realizing how much I appreciated that second movie that nobody went to go see, because it feels like it belongs, like it's a proper sequel to something that came out several years ago. It understands the tone, it understands the pacing, it understands the mood, it understands the characters. It tells its own story, but doesn't disrespect the original characters either. That's why I'm convinced that this is the right guy for the job. And I hope this movie is as good as it sounds. I really do. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Are you getting pumped for Dune yet? Because you really should, okay? We need a good science fiction franchise to fall onto, and there's a ton of books that have been written in this series. They could do tons of movies with it. This is one case where I would actually like to see some kind of a franchise come out of it, because like I said, we don't have those things right now. All we got is like The Mandalorian and The Mandalorian. That's about it. From what I understand, the new Star Trek Picard show isn't doing all that great either. So, I'm hearing mixed things. Make sure you join us tonight on Etep Coolion's The Place to Be Reviews, where I'll be talking with my buddy Pete about these kind of things and more pop culture and movie news. This week I'll be reviewing Birds of Prey, because that's literally the only movie that comes out. So I'll be doing the review for that on my channel. The showing is at like 6 p.m. so I should have that review up pretty early on Thursday night, so make sure you check that out. And I got some movies for this weekend too. We're going to be doing Forbidden World, Reptilicus, and Class of 1990. So we'll be talking about those movies this week on my channel. You guys have yourselves a groovy day, and this is the Groovinator, aka Adam, signing out. Peace.